Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. Good to be back in our usual premises. This week's parsha says, "Vayikra Moshe leHoshea bin Yehoshua." Moshe called Hoshea bin Yehoshua. So at first glance, we would say this occurred now, when we're introducing who the 12 spies were. Alamante Ephraim was Hoshea bin Nun. Moshe called him, instead of Hoshea, he called him Yoshua. However, there are many problems with that. First of all, he was called Yoshua way before. We find it in the struggle against Amalek. It says, "Vayomer Moshe Yoshua b'char lanu anoshim." Say he lost him by Amalek. So he was already called Yoshua. And why does the Torah tell us that Moshe called him Yoshua, and what lies within it? So Rashi here quotes the Gemara that the Yud that Moshe added to the name of Hoshea to make it Yehoshua. So Rashi says, "Call Yoshiacha me'atzas meraglim." Oh yeah, I'm adding God's name to your name, Yud and Hey. Call. He will save you from the atzas meraglim. So according to this interpretation, Moshe changed his name now. And he changed his name directly in relationship to what's going to be the story of the Meraglim. So here the question arises, if Moshe knew what the Atzas Meraglim was going to be, and why did he send them? Moshe sent them because he was confident that the Meraglim would give a positive report. Kulam anoshim b'nei Yisrael. They were all tzaddikim. They're not going to say anything bad about Eretz Yisrael. And here, all of a sudden, Rashi Gemara interjects that he knows in advance that it's going to be a tzas meraglim. They're going to suggest some things that are awful. And then another problem, if adding the Yud to the name helps, then why didn't he add a Yud to all their names? So put God's name in each one of them. So what's the magic bullet here? All the Meforshim discuss all of these problems. But there's one idea that I think is paramount and that we can all identify with. And that is that Yehoshua is the Talmud of Moshe. Yehoshua nar lo yomish mitoch ha'oel. Yehoshua for years, the stuff is in the tent of Moshe. So that the idea of Kol Yoshiacha Matzas Meraglim is not that Moshe gave him a special bracha, but that Moshe added a Yud as a special bracha. What Moshe did, because Yoshua was his Talmud Mulach, was the student that was with him all of the time. So cumulatively, every day of being with Moshe, he acquired the ability of Kol Yoshiacha Hatzas Marag. So it's not Vayikra Moshe L'Hoshea Binun Yehoshua that he called in his name that day, but that Vayikra Moshe L'Hoshea Binun Yehoshua, Moshe developed his students, his disciples, who originally was Hoshea Binun, he developed him to be Yehoshua Binun. And if Yehoshua had that quality that he was now developed and created by Moshe, then automatically Moshe doesn't know what the Atzas Meraglim is going to be. He thinks it's going to be good. But even as it turns out, we have today, we're well acquainted with antibodies, right? You got to take a test whether you have antibodies or not. The job of a teacher in the Jewish world is to give one student antibodies. But we don't know yet. But if you have antibodies within you, so then you can resist the disease when it comes, God forbid. And that's what Moshe did to Yehoshua. He, so to speak, vaccinated him. He made it clear that whatever the Atzas Meraglim will be, and Atzas Meraglim is not this particular event, but it's a general view of life. It's all the challenges in life. Yehoshua is going to have to face the challenges of raising them there at Yisrael. He's going to, and when they come there at Yisrael, Pesach Micha went with them. The Avodah Zarah went with them. He has to combat that. He had many challenges, enormous challenges that even Moshe doesn't foresee for him. But if Moshe injected him with the antibodies because he was Narlo Yomish Mitoch HaOel, so then we can say, Vayikra Moshe L'Hoshea Binun Yehoshua. Moshe changed him. Not just changing the name, changing the person, changing the personality, changing the strength of someone. And that's really the obligation of a teacher to a student, to the parent, to a child. The parent cannot know what challenges the child will face. We can't protect our children from things that we don't even know will occur. But what we can do is give our child a sufficient moral and educational basis that the child will be able to withstand the pressures. Will be able to overcome them. That's the idea of Kol Yoshiacha Matzat Merag. That was, so the Torah mentions that regarding Yehoshua. Regarding Kalev ben Yefune, the other hero of the story, the Torah doesn't tell us anything. But Kalev himself tells us later in life regarding himself. When the Tanakh we read in Yehoshua, that Yehoshua said, Di Yale, who's going to go up and conquer Hebron for us? Kalev had gone to Hebron by Keverovos, more Samachel. So Kalev said, famous Posek, Chomesh Shmonim Shona Anochi Hayom. I'm 85 years old today. 40 years ago, I stood in front of Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai, and he sent me as one of the spies. Kochi Atok and Kochi Oz. My strength now is the same as my strength then. 85 years old, we all know that at 85, you're not like 45. You're not like 84. So, Kofi, my strength of spirit, my understanding of the matter now is just the way it was then. I did not waver. I will not waver now. And that's the strength of Kolev and Yehuda. So between Kolev and Yoshua, the Jewish people will be saved. Be salvaged going in there, it's a son. And that was the great idea why the Torah mentions these two, so that we can gain insight ourselves into our future and into our heroes, that we should also be able to say, Kofi Atov, Kofi Oz. Rabbi Hanania ben Akash, Omer, Rotsa, Kofi Borchu, Zakas, Israel, Aficha Kirbalaim Torah, Mitzvot, Shenem, Aranach, Aveit, Zman, Tzitko, Yagdil Torah, Yadi. Amen.